Let's start you off with a big story here in the United States and for the Indo-Pacific region. The great competition between the United States and China is only intensifying, especially after a Chinese Coast Guard ship blocked a Philippine patrol vessel in the South China Sea. The United States has now warned that any attack on the Philippine vessel would trigger a U.S. response. The warning comes on the heels of the Philippine president's Washington visit. Fernando Marcos Jr. will be meeting his U.S. counterpart today as concerns grow regarding China's assertiveness in the South China Sea. The skirmish in the South China Sea happened on April 28th. That is when the Philippine Coast Guard said that two of its vessels were involved in a confrontation with the Chinese Navy in the disputed South China Sea. The incident occurred during a Philippine Coast Guard patrol close to the Philippine-held 2nd Thomas Shoal. Marcos' visit to Washington also comes after the U.S. and the Philippines completed their largest war drill ever. The two-week exercise involved more than 17,600 military personnel and live fire exercises. So let's tell you more about the growing Philippines-U.S. relations. Apart from the Philippine president's Washington trip and the recent military drills, the United States also hosted two diplomats from the Philippines. During the talks, both sides agreed to complete a roadmap for the U.S. to provide security assistance to its regional ally for the next 5 to 10 years. Last year, Washington also granted Manila $100 million to boost the Southeast Asian nation's defense capabilities and military modernization as well. In February, the Philippines granted new rights to the U.S. to expand access to its military bases. Fernando Marcos Jr.'s father also visited the United States back in 1982. It was Marcos' first visit to the United States in 16 years since the first year of his presidency in 1966. According to a date from the Pew Research Center's Global Attitude Project, 85% of Filipinos have a favorable view of the American people. The survey also further suggests that the Philippines like the United States of America a lot in general. Meanwhile, in recent weeks, the United States is also making diplomatic inroads, holding drills and meetings with their leaders. Just a few days ago, the United States signed the Washington Declaration Act with South Korea. It has also opened its embassy in Vanuatu in a bid to counter China in the Pacific. Apart from this, Washington has also reopened its embassy in the Solomon Islands. Meanwhile, China is also trying to rekindle its relations with various countries, especially after it brokered a peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Chinese foreign minister also visited Manila for 3 days to seek cooperation amid worsening relations between the Philippines and China. Let's also now tell you why the issue of South China Sea is so contentious. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, including the Sprattles, which is also claimed by the Philippines. This has turned the South China Sea into one of the world's biggest flashpoints, especially as the U.S.-China tension is on the rise.